Welcome back to Girl Take the Lead, the podcast where we explore the real, raw, and remarkable stories of people breaking cycles, finding their voice, and leading with courage. And I'm your host, Yo Kenny. Today's episode is all about new beginnings, the kind we never planned for, never asked for, and somehow find the strength to walk through. I'm so honored to welcome Michelle Hensley, founder of Nifty Package Co, creator of the new gig app, FeteTango. She's a coach, an entrepreneur, a mother, a grandmother, and a woman who completely reinvented her life after losing her husband to cancer. Michelle's story begins with grief, but it doesn't stay there. What unfolds is a powerful journey of rebuilding identity, creating income from creativity, discovering new gifts, and proving that you are never too old or too heartbroken to begin again. So let's jump in. Here you go. So, Michelle, welcome to Girl Take the Lead. Yay.
Nice to see you, Yolanda, finally.
Yeah, we're here. We're here. Would you introduce yourself, please, to our listeners and viewers?
Absolutely. I am Michelle Hensley, owner, founder of Nifty Package Company. This is a business I started a year after my husband passed away. I am a mother of 3 sons and a grandmother of 9 children. So I'm excited to be here. Thanks for
And
having
you've
me.
written a book. So tell us
I,
about your book.
I did. Interesting, a lot of people have asked how I did what I did. And I needed to be able to weave in the story of losing my husband and then completely reinventing my life after age 50. So I thought, you know what, I'm gonna write a book and share my story that way. Just, it was along the road because it was time, and I just hunkered down and wrote early in the morning every day, and then it came out last year. Yeah.
Yeah, well, congratulations on that. I think
Thank
you
you.
need to tell our listeners and viewers about your business
Okay.
because this was really interesting how you got into it, how you're bringing other people in and giving them the opportunity to have something that works for their lifestyles. So, anyway, yeah.
That's interesting. You brought up a great question in some of the questions that you wrote out for me, and it was basically, the whole mobile wrapping side and the history of gift wrapping. But for me, sharing a little bit about my history, I was a pastor's wife. I never thought I would. I thought I'd be married for the rest of my life. I thought, we would grow older together, and I was homeschooling children, um, basically supporting him in his dream, never thinking about my dream was to raise good children, that paid their taxes and did well. And I can't control if they love God or not, but I could do my best. And so, very mission oriented. I also had a nonprofit feeding the working poor. And I stress that because these are people who worked in California, especially during the crisis, the financial crisis, the last one in 2007, 2008. And people who worked jobs, even if the janitors in universities or people, they were just trying to make ends meet. People lost everything. So I provided the ability to give them food. We had a lot of people who were wealthy in terms of their assets, but had no cash to buy groceries, and we wanted to fill that need. So I started and ran that, and started with $5 in an envelope, and built it to feed 73,000 people a year. I was also a counselor, and everything was pro bono. So I was never really around creating income for about 13, 14 years. It was more about serving. And when my husband was, I was counseling a doctor and his wife, and he was diagnosed with stage 3 metastatic melanoma. He was just talking to the doctor. He goes, "I have a mole growing out of control. What can you take a look at it and do a pathology?" So he did. And he said, "You need to get in and get a PET scan right away." So as soon as, our whole life was turned upside down in a moment, which I know many people have experienced before in different ways. Um, and so found out it went to stage 4 within 30 days. And then it was a 2-year battle. with that. But as a person of faith, I believed that God was going to heal him, and then that would be my life. So that was not the case. That's not what God had planned. And so in May of 2014, he passed away. And uh, I had the nonprofit for the next year and passed the church over to the associate pastor and his wife. And then it was like I had the church paid me for a year. And at that time, I had no income. So somebody was had offered to look at my resume and bring me into a corporate job, and went and interviewed, was gracious to have that opportunity. This was July 2015. And I was interviewing, and the gentleman said, you're going to work 60 hours a week. We're a five-star company. It's a really rehabilitation center, got like 30 staff, 300 staff. And so you're going to be on call 24 hours a day. And I just got tunnel vision. It's
Mm.
like, I'm so used to being very present, and now I'm going to be working 60 hours a week, and I still have two kids to launch into out of high school. And so I drove home that day thinking, that's not what the dream that we had was. So is there a way I could work when I wanted and could versus have to? And if
Mm.
I like that idea, would other women like that idea? And I love the Uber business model. But keep in mind, I didn't even know how to pay a bill online. So I went from a whole identity. I came out of a complete identity crisis in terms of I'm no longer a wife. I don't have this responsibility of an executive director. And now I have to have an income. And I haven't worked out in the corporate field for many, many years. So who's going to hire me? And I'm 51. So I got home that day, and one of my sons said, "You had a gift basket business when you were young. Why don't you try that again?" So I said, "You know what? That's a great idea." It was that simple. And I asked the family around me, daughter-in-law, friends, my sister, I'm like, "Hey, what do you guys think if we all work from home and then come in together?" Like, that's how my mind was thinking on big projects. Could we figure that out? And all of them said, "We would love to do that," because then they'd have the freedom to be at home with their families or whatever their lifestyle was. And then everyone could come in and work together. So you could use your left brain and your right brain. So it was kind of cool. And
Mhm.
so I started to learn to go out and network and talk to people. And I was shaking every time I did that. I was so nervous. Was not what I was expecting life to be, but I did it. And the business began to grow, and I began to understand cost of goods, inventory, all that. So that grew. I went into the financial services space because I still had to work full time and create income. And then 2018, I was praying. I'm up every day around 3:45 a.m. praying and seeking God. And I see my van sitting out there, and I'm thinking, I'm only using that van half the time. So if I'm only using that van half the time, I make gifts. I wonder if I could wrap gifts. Like, does anybody do that? Drive around like a doggy car wash and wrap gifts. And I thought, you know what? I did some search. I found out that there was one person doing something similar in like Minnesota. And I thought, I'm putting up a web page. I put up a web page, and I got a call from a client within about 5 days. And he said, "I hate wrapping gifts. Could you come and wrap all my gifts?" I put all my supplies in the van, drove over there. I wrapped all his gifts, and they looked great. And I stood back. I'm like, "That was a good job, Michelle." And I forgot that I didn't label the gifts. So I had to unwrap and rewrap every gift
God.
because I didn't know who they belonged to and how was I going to pass it over. But I learned some lessons.
Yeah.
Uh, and that's what launched me to the gift wrapping space. And then in the next year, March 2019, and this is pre-COVID. So people were kind of making fun of me. I want to say more men about the whole working out of your home and remote. That wasn't very popular back then. Uber was just really taking off. So people like me, though, love that business model. Or I want to say women like me because it was really designed for women at that time. So anyway, in March, I got a call from Too Faced Cosmetics. They're an edgy brand, and she asked if I would do a design for them, and I did. They loved it, so we did a whole gift wrap fulfillment for them. And then they got about 1 million hits on that Instagram, that they posted, and we were referred to some celebrities. Well, I also didn't watch TV, so I really was not familiar with celebrities. And I got a call at the end of the summer, maybe September of 2019, from the Kardashian estate manager. I'm like, who are the Kardashians? And is this a joke? You know, I called my sons and I'm like, who are the Kardashians? They asked me to do a design and I don't know what to do. And they've been following my Instagram. I have like 400 followers on Instagram. This is wild. So maybe I have like 600. And so my son said, Mom, they're the #2 influencer under President Trump. You have got to do this job. So I said, okay. Now keep in mind, I was still thinking in terms of pastor's wife, mom, grandmother, trying to figure out how to make money and getting, growing a lot in this field. But at the same time, this is the day I transition into a full-fledged business owner right here.
Mm-hmm.
So I get out there and all my team is watching me. By this time I had about 7 with me, and she had her team. And this is both Kim and Kanye because they were married at the time. And I showed her several different designs and she said, nope, don't like it. Nope, nope, nope. And I walk outside. I'm like, Lord, you brought me here. I am not going home without a sale. Everyone's watching me and I can't let that happen. So I walk in and I said, does anybody have any fabric? And I did it. That one of the gals that works for her said, I do. And so I said, okay, I'm going to do a fabric wrap. And I did that. And she was so excited and loved it. So that launched the celebrity side. And then the reputation grew and people started calling me from New York, from Texas. I had to start learning to train remotely as well. And then we went into COVID. So we had already had all this remote worked out. We had been
Yeah. Yeah.
all the ins and outs of it and figuring it all out, receipts and spreadsheets and things like that. So that has launched me. And then I started working on a franchise model. It's very costly to do that. So everything's ready to go, but I have to have like another $60,000-$70,000 to get that franchise. You have to have that in the bank for California to
Mm.
franchise in California. So just cash, just sitting there. So now I have a full licensing program and training, and people can learn how to do this and make a profit and not learn the hard way like I did. But yeah, that's my story. And I've had many articles written. It's in Entrepreneur Magazine, the Washington Times. Like there's been a lot. I've been very fortunate. So that's kind of how it launched. And now I wrap for a lot of big names. I mean, I'm very fortunate. I'm very humbled by the opportunity to serve.
Yeah.
And yeah,
What surprised you the most from the business and from what you're doing?
that I think that it was the fact that I had an idea that I thought was good and it worked. I mean, sometimes you don't know that,
Yeah. Yeah.
you don't know where it's going to lead you, but it sometimes leads you on a path you never thought you would be on. I mean, going from ministry to becoming a merchant was just not what was in my mind. And it just wasn't. To lead something like this, I didn't ever foresee that, to be quite
Yeah.
honest.
Well, you have said that gift wrapping is timeless. I think you've hit like a path that lots of people everyone can relate to gift wrapping.
Hmm. Well, you sit back and for us, for me, for what has happened is, the rise of convenience, the rise of the gig economy, the rise of crime, and handcrafting, all of those things are on the rise.
Uh-huh.
So whether the luxury market is struggling or not, the service side is not. And if you do a good job, then you because you pulled out that word timeless, that was such a great statement. Gift wrapping and presenting gifts has been around forever. And I would have to say, I spoke about one gal in my book. I did a podcast with her, which is phenomenal, Shio, and also with Wanda Wen, who's also a phenomenal Japanese rapper here in Orange or LA County. Both of these women, have taken the art of gift wrapping to new levels. And so it's, wrapping with fabric, wrapping with paper, wrapping with leftover, I mean, we used to wrap our books in
Mhm.
newspaper or bags to make the book look cool. So, it's been around a long time. And I think I mean, I talk about this a lot. Nordstrom's used to be the top, it used to be like one of the best stores to go to. And when you would see a Nordstrom's gift wrap box under the tree, that was like a
Yeah.
prized possession. And unfortunately, they lost that feeling that they gave everybody through a series of just unwise marketing decisions. But at the same time, gift wrapping gives you that feeling. Oh my gosh, people, look to the box or look to that gift and they can't take their eyes off of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a lost art and it's coming back. And I'm happy to be a part of that because, you know, it really is a lost art.
Do you find that the people that you hire in um, appreciate that art and that craft?
That I bring into Nifty to work.
Yeah.
Not everybody.
She
I,
says honestly.
what's really funny is I have a team. I have a team. I have daughter-in-laws too. Both of them have been around since I started this business. And even some gals that don't still work at Nifty, but perfectionistic in their skill set will tell me that gift that was just posted looks terrible. Remove it, take it off of Instagram. And, it's funny because it's true. So, when we're presenting perfection, or at least close to it, because it's not
Mhm.
perfect, then it needs to look really good. But I hired somebody in, didn't vet them as well as I should have, and it was an embarrassment. And also, I posted that on in a blog post, I think, where be wise as to who you bring into wrap because you want to make sure they're carrying your name brand well
Yeah.
throughout what they're doing. So I had to let that person go actually because it is a detailed job.
Yeah.
And
And I think you're under, as you said, a lot of people scrutinize and judge how the wrap looks and if it's up to a certain standard. Like I gotta tell you, like I have ideas about gift wrapping, but when it comes time under the gun, like Christmas Eve, trying to get everything done, then all the ideas go out the window. It's like, how quickly can I get these done?
yeah, and that's why people hire us. Like they'll look at a pile of gifts and they'll think, oh my gosh, I will have no time to do
Yeah.
that. And they pay us to come in and wrap. And so the price is the same no matter who you are. We get hired by shut-ins. We get hired by people who are older and they just want all the gifts to look beautiful and they just, they can't labor with their hands like they used to or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
And, so we help them and wrap their gifts. I mean, we even get requested to trim trees and
Oh,
do
uh-huh.
other things, which I'll discuss a little bit about that since this is going to be, out in December. So,
Right.
um, yeah, so it's for me, it's not just about me growing a business, it's about growing two things: the luxury gift wrapping side and the economy of somebody over 50. Um, Although many age groups do this because there's a lot of mobile wrappers that I train and teach to get the job, but or the business actually. Um, there's an economy to be made here too. So you have a little bit of freedom differently than if you were to work 20 to 40, 50 hours a week, in a job where you're sitting there or, you're required to do so much or whatever.
Is there seasonality to your
Yes, there
business, or
is.
have you kind of designed it so that you do have more of an even flow?
Mhm. Well, I think it's a little difficult because we're very heavy on the last quarter. September, October, November, December are very, very busy for us. And in the beginning of the year, other things happen. So we do a lot of the gift baskets because we do luxury gift baskets or event gifts. We do like if somebody has 2,000 books, we wrap all their books and ship them to their board of directors or whoever. So we do that. The other thing is this year we launched our own gift wrapping, actual gift wrapping. So some of the companies that are more higher end will bring in our paper, so that those get sold in the beginning of the year. So that kind of helps even out the work. But the truth is, it's heavy because people do a lot of their shopping
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the year, and that's when we are really, really busy.
Mm-hmm. What are some lessons, I guess, you'd pass along to other people that want to start a business like this or be involved in a business like this?
I would say that they need to have a vision and a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Like they don't have to, it doesn't have to be mastered the vision yet, but the purpose. Why am I doing this?
Mm-hmm.
It's like when I was homeschooling, you beat yourself up. Why in the world would I do such a thing? And when it wasn't popular, it's popular now, but it wasn't back then. And the reality is the end result was I wanted to have children who were actually well-rounded and paid their taxes, and love God. So I had a vision for that and a purpose to launch them. So with this, I would say, that they need to have a purpose, their why, which will carry them through the very difficult moments of when you want to give up, because there were many dark times. And, you know, um, and manage your money as best as possible without skimping on the important things, because we use high quality paper and we use very high quality ribbon. So, be wise with your money, be wise with what you're doing, and be wise with your pricing. I think I see there's a lot of people who I read more than I participate in a lot of the gift wrapping um, communities in terms of look how pretty my gift wrap is. Well, your gift wrap might be pretty, but are you going to make a profit? And, less is more. So lessons learned are, what does somebody really want? Especially if you're going to do it on a large scale. But, and then be wise with, what is your key performance indicator? How much are you selling? What is your revenue? Is this a good business for you? And, you know, th those kinds of things. And then be quick, be sharp, and be able to pivot if you have to and need to. Do something else at the same time. So I encourage, especially women who are in my situation, or women who are more in terms of trying to create income, that, if you're on the creative side, there's a lot of creative things you can do to earn an income besides gift wrapping. So be open to that if you're trying to earn income, and be
Mm.
open to hard work. It's hard work. It's fun though.
Well, well, what are you looking forward to in 2026? You mentioned something about a new business that you're launching, and it sounds like you have understood business than a lot of us coming out of getting an MBA. You you have gotten it down, girl.
You're so sweet. I think I also have two master's degrees. And I have learned more through hard knocks and waking up in the middle of the night, worrying and thinking and resourcefulness. I think, a couple of things. Women are incredibly resourceful. And I think the thing that scares us the most is that we don't know something. And I think the interesting part about myself is I have a tendency to launch, then learn. I don't know where that came from, and I don't know why. So I just do it and figure it out, even if it's wrong. I know that it's still part of the process and I'm learning.
Yeah.
Um, and so you asked a question, and I can't recall what that question was.
Your business, what you're looking forward to in
2026.
2026, and your
Yeah.
line. Everyone is probably waiting to hear, like, well, what's that new business she's doing?
Well, it's going to launch for Q4. First part is definitely entering into the retail and wholesale gift wrapping space, where I am creating gift wrap for luxury brands, also and companies. So it's not just a brand, it's a company. There are companies too. So launching gift wrap experience boxes. That what this is it's a beautiful box. And in that box is fabric, videos, paper, ribbons, scissors, everything you need. It's a very high-end experience box. And that what launched me to start that is the fashion. I'm very inspired by fashion. I'm very inspired by I just am.
Mhm.
If I see a fashion, I instantly think about how I could wrap a gift like that. So watching the inauguration, I saw the fashion and I absolutely loved it. So I started creating in the middle of the night designs after the first lady, second lady, and Ivanka because the fashions were cool. So I created Pinterest pages and then a full experience box where, like I said, all these things came out of that. That couple of weeks later, I was actually asked to design all the new wrap for the new administration, which was incredible. It's an honor. Whatever side of the fence you are on, it's just an honor. The role is a big role. So we won that job, which is very humbling. And those experience boxes I told you about just landed at their feet on Friday of last week. So that was cool. So that's a big launch. And then the other thing is an app. The app is what was happening in last year. We were trying to figure out what's going to make our jobs easier when we hire the gift wrappers and train them. So I said I could do some kind of a booking app or website to where, the gals that work for Nifty can manage that as well. And the jobs, it would flow through this site. And I thought, gosh, I wonder if I can make that into an app instead of just a website. So I started doing some research on the app. Okay, well, this brings me to understanding how the apps work. So I put myself on TaskRabbit as a tasker. I put myself, I did porch pumpkins so I could learn how to teach porch pumpkins so women can make money. And I didn't foresee this year and the difficulties that many people are facing to create income. So I I got called to do porch pumpkins on somebody's porch and set it up. And she said, Michelle, this looks beautiful. Can I hire you to cater my son's birthday party? I'm like, why not? Here I am so busy, but I thought, why not? This is what I'm trying to figure out. How does this work? And so she hired me to do that. And then I did catered his party. I made like $420. I made $800 on the porch pumpkins. I made $420 on the birthday party for 4 hours. And then she said, could you trim my tree? I'm like, I will do whatever. I was so tired, but I did it. But then when I started working on the app design, I thought, you know what? This shouldn't be just for gift wrappers. This should be for all creatives.
Mm.
Anybody who wants to create income on the creative side, not just entertainment, not just plumbing, but things where, like I did, trim a
Mhm.
tree.
Mhm.
Or so instead of it just being gift wrapping, it would be these other things. You could fold laundry. You could, bake cookies. Like it could be on a small scale. So I completely designed and created an app for creatives. And that way somebody could, and the other thing I did is I brought the fee down. So I did all the research on the companies that are out there. If I could keep the fees to a minimum for the professional gig person, then she or he is going to make more money. And then keep the fee, like at 12% for the hiring person, where right now they pay 15% and above, then that would be an incentive, and that would accomplish the other side of my goal, and that is to help women earn more money from stay with their families when they want to, or, you know, and they could take more of the money home. And so I'm almost done with that, but that app will launch as soon as it's ready. And I have about 100 people who are ready to test it for me.
Yeah.
Hoping it'll be all launched by the time your podcast is out there.
So,
Yeah.
where can our listeners find you and follow you and see your magnificent work? And they probably know people that would go, oh my God, I'd love to work with her on that. Like, how do they do that?
Well, they can reach me. I have a few websites. So michellemhensley.com, and that's where they can learn. There's a couple things there. They can learn how to, if they want to start their own business, I have a free guide. They can download that and just kind of check off the boxes and think through the process. And at the end, it helps them walk through, would I be a good mobile gift wrapping business? And then they can purchase some gift wrapping training There's courses, and then they can purchase the book as well. There's also a class for widows who are, for me, I had no understanding of the practical skills of my life, none. I didn't know. So I teach you, I've taught at the local college for a long time, practical skills. So your life has changed, you have a new normal, you've walked through some grief. Grief lasts for years, so it's a given that you're going to struggle with grief. But this is how to get yourself back onto an identity, your new identity, who you are, and help walk you through that. So there's that on there. And then they can license Nifty, they can be trained through me, they can consult with me, so they can do that. Nifty Package Co is the actual business where I do the luxury gift baskets, and we are number one in the mobile gift wrapping space and luxury gift wrapping. And then they can go on YouTube, so mobile gift wrapping coach, and I've got lots of great stories on there and podcasts also with women. And yeah, I give them my phone number. They're free to email me, and I'm happy to help for sure.
Oh, that's terrific. And so what would you tell your 20 something self today? Boy, a different woman than you were at 20.
Oh my gosh, it's almost embarrassing. Like I just knew nothing. You think you know everything.
It's so true.
You just think you know
Well, you know
everything.
how it's going to turn out. You have it
Yes.
totally planned.
Yes. I would say find a mentor. I should have found a mentor and listen. I just look back at all the judgments. Oh my gosh. I remember I used to ride a bike when I was a big cyclist in my 50s, but I used to ride a bike when I was 17 and 18. And I remember this is just how judgmental we can be at that age. There was a gal, she was a little overweight. And I thought, I am so going to ride my bike better than her. And I feel like this is the attitude we have back then. I don't have it anymore. I've put myself to, I've been in the wilderness so many times I can give tours because I've made so many mistakes. But she kicked my booty on the bike. I was about ready to fall over, and she's like, doo, doo, doo. She did not stop. She kept going. She was on a straight path. She knew what she was doing. She'd been trained. Listen to people who are older than you. I should have done that. Mentor, find somebody to teach you, learn to have grace with your words. Um, so
Yeah.
I guess that would be what I would tell myself. Don't do dumb.
Excellent. Well, and the last thing, listeners, is that Michelle and we were talking about my online store, and I am going to send along to her a holiday card of one of from the collection, just one that I think she might like. So it might be something like, I don't know, like humbug on gift wrapping. Will you do it for me?
That
But
would be
we'll
very,
invent something. But
and you have some beautiful things on your store.
thank you so much. And it is a lot of fun for me. And I could really relate to when you were talking about, being creative and, just going for it. Not, you just can't care too much about others and their viewpoints. You have to kind of listen to yourself and do what you think is the best thing. So, but thank you so much for joining us and being such a good sport about coming on and talking about, gosh, something that I know a lot of people don't like to do.
Yeah. And that those that like to do it can earn money.
Yeah, definitely. All right,
Well, thank
Michelle.
you, Yolanda. It has been a joy and a pleasure. Thank you for having me on. And I
Yeah,
wish you the best.
thank you. What an inspiring and deeply hopeful conversation with Michelle, a woman who shows us that a second act can be just as meaningful, creative, and powerful as the first. Michelle reminds us that reinvention doesn't start with a business plan, it starts with a moment of courage. One small idea, one brave, why not? And one step towards something that feels like possibility again. Her journey taught us that you can begin anything at any age. Starting over at 50, 60, or even beyond that is not a limitation, it's an invitation. Your creativity has value, whether it's gift wrapping, decorating, crafting, or offering practical support. Your skills may be someone else's lifesaver. Grief and growth can coexist. You don't have to be finished grieving to build something new. You get to carry your story and your future at the same time. If you'd like to connect with Michelle, make sure you check our show notes. As always, thank you for listening, for sharing these stories, and being part of the community of women learning to trust their voice, honor their journey, and lead with their heart. Next week, we'll be joined by Dr. Denise Brown, the fairy god doctor, a Stanford trained physician, former CEO, and author of Fairy God Doctor's Guide to a Good Life, a prescription for the working woman. If you're moving through the holiday, feeling stretched thin, or craving permission to do less and feel more satisfied, this episode will speak to you deeply. Until then, take care of your heart, trust your creativity, and remember, we got this. Talk soon. Bye.